Bright lights, bright lights.
Good morning and welcome to Bright Lights of Roslin Hill Unitarian Chapel, Hampstead. I'm going to light the chalice candle. If you have a candle now, it's a fantastic time to light it. We are the chapel of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. Hopefully you can see the lovely flame there. Okay. So if you have lit a candle and you'd like to press the pause to reflect button with your family or whoever you're with, or even just by yourself, just press the pause to reflect button and have a think about your joys and concerns this week. So the theme continues to be the theme of healing, which is absolutely beautiful. And this week is all about the healing of telling the truth in Thanksgiving. You might have heard of Thanksgiving. It's quite an American or Canadian term of Thanksgiving. So with that in mind, let's see what's in the Wonder Box. Let's have a look what's in the Wonder Box this week. Ooh, I wonder what's in the Wonder Box. What is that? It's a beautiful, in fact I've got them on my earring too, I don't know if you can see. It's a beautiful feather. Ooh, do you ever pick up a feather that you see? Let's have a little look at it. What do you think when you think about a feather? Well, sometimes when I pick up a feather, I think about when I used to play when I was a child, and we used to dress up, and sometimes people used to play something called Cowboys and Indians. Now that's a little bit of perhaps an old-fashioned game now. I don't know if you still play, and people used to put a little feather in their hair like this if they were pretending to be an Indian of America, so a Native American Indian. But actually, now that I come to think about it, sometimes it wasn't always very fair how we talked about and played Cowboys and Indians and what that story really is about. And Thanksgiving too also has characters in of Native American Indians and the people that came to America. I think if you want to, as a family, it might be really nice to have a little chat about Thanksgiving and the story behind it. If you can have a look for the information, there's a lot of information out there about it. Have a think about how we talk about characters in stories, just like we did before with looking up, if you remember that story. But really, Thanksgiving also, the name suggests, is all about giving thanks and celebrating what it is to be at home, nesting up, as it were. So, I have a story from Soul Matters called The Memory Table, which I would like to share with you. And I have a lovely illustration by someone called Amy Paschall. And if you'd like to have that as a colouring in picture, just email childrenschapel@roslinhillchapel.org.uk and you can colour that in with the story. Now this story is all about a little boy called Stephen who has to leave his house and set up a new house, and what it means to him to feel at home, which is incredibly important, especially this season. The Memory Table. 7-year-old Stephen dragged his backpack down the unfamiliar pathway to his new house. School was over for the day, but Stephen was not looking forward to going home. Yesterday, a big moving van had brought all his stuff to 746 Maple Street, and inside would be a mess of half-emptied boxes. I don't know if you've ever moved house, but it takes lots of boxes and things moving all around. And this morning, he had found his toothbrush, but no toothpaste. And Mum said it was in a different box. Oh dear. So he's got his toothbrush, but he can't find his toothpaste. Usually it's just there in the bathroom, but when you move house, he couldn't even find the two together. Stephen felt lonely and sad. Everywhere he had been all week was new, everywhere. He did not recognise the faces at his new school. The house did not greet him in the same way as his old house, that feeling of coming home. As Stephen crossed the threshold of his new house, he slammed the new door and thought, even the door slams differently. Even the door. Standing in the front hallway, Stephen looked up and saw his mum coming forward to give him a big home hug. Do you do that when you get home? Ooh, or when you meet each other from school or nursery, a big home hug. Home hugs at the door were his mum's speciality, and Stephen felt the familiar warmth and love as his mum hugged him. He smiled up at her and forgot his sadness. That's nice, isn't he? He forgot his sadness as he said, I sure hope that peanut butter cookies I smell. I really hope I can smell peanut butter cookies. So he came through the door. He thought, I know that smell. I hope that's peanut butter cookies. That is a super nose you have there, young man, his mother answered. Make way for super nose as it heads towards those peanut butter cookies. Close behind is Wonder Mouth that will eat those cookies. And Stephen yelled as he sailed down the hallway towards the smell of peanut butter cookies. In the kitchen, Stephen stopped and stared. Everything was put away, and by the window was their very own kitchen table. In fact, I'm sitting at our kitchen table. Maybe you're sitting at your kitchen table. And this rough pine table had been in his kitchen as long as he could remember. It was the only table he'd ever really sat at with his family. It had 2 chunky legs on the ends, which his mum always said made it easier to push in the chairs. And around the table were 4 chairs with thick legs and padded seat covers with chickens on them. So a special design that he knew just to be his house. Stephen walked to the table and saw a red permanent marker spot from when he was 2 years old and started to draw without paper. Have you ever done that? Or accidentally coloured off the side of the paper and left a little mark? Well, he could see his little mark from when he was 2. He's 7 now. And at the end of the table there stood a napkin holder he made in crafts at day camp, and the funny chicken salt and pepper shakers from his grandma's house. In front of the salt and pepper shakers was the stained glass chalice he had made his old church. That's so special. And right in the middle of the table was a hollow spot from the marble slab his mum used for cutting out Christmas cookies. Next to the hollow was a huge plate of his favourite peanut butter cookies. Stephen smiled as he sat down. His mum came over to the table with 2 glasses of cold milk and sat down with him in the familiar table in her usual spot. Do you have a particular spot where you sit down sometimes at your table? Or do you all just play musical chairs and sit wherever you want? Sometimes we have a spot, and it sometimes feels strange if we change, so we like to stay where we are. I know you've been sad, Stephen, said his mummy. You are missing all the old things, and you're exhausted by the new things. Moving house is exhausting. How are you feeling now? Asked his mum. Stephen munched a cookie for a moment and answered, well, I was sad, he said, until I saw the table. What did the table do to make you feel better? Asked his mum. I started thinking about all the things that happen at this table. We have Thanksgiving here with lots of relatives, and that can happen the same here too, Stephen stated. And the grace we say at this table will be the same, even if it's in a new place. Stephen's mum smiled. What else will continue in this new house? Well, I can do my homework here and remember all the other times I sat here and learned things, Stephen added. Stephen, this table is the place where memories meet and new experiences meet for our family. Our home is the place where we eat together, grow together, and learn together. Even if the building where we meet is new, the good things that happen in our family home don't change. Stephen paused and then he said, Mum, can we light my chalice so I can remember all the times I learned at our old church? So he even had to change churches. That's a really big thing, isn't it? We are going to find a new church, aren't we, Mum? Stephen's mum went to a drawer and got a match to light it. Yes, Stephen, she said. We will find a new faith home. Just like our family home, the rituals of our new Unitarian Universalist faith home will bring good memories. Let's light the chalice and say our affirmation from Sunday school together, just like our words that we say together. Stephen carefully lit the stained glass chalice, and his mother helped him say the familiar words, which actually are very similar to the ones we're saying. So Stephen and his mummy say, we are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, that hearts that love, and that hands are ready to serve. So we say helping hands, don't we? Stephen felt warm and comfortable saying these words with his mother. His heart now knew that he had many old memories to bring along with him, and he went into new places. And each new place would provide new experiences that would become memories as his family created a new home. I got a funny feeling in my nose and my tummy reading that. And it did make me want a peanut butter cookie and a glass of milk too. But I can feel the wood of my family home, which is right here. And we have lots of shared talking, questions, sometimes debates, sometimes disagreements, sometimes celebrations around this table. I can't imagine being without this table and the things that we do around it. And if we did move house, I hope that we would take it with us and think about our old memories as well as creating new experiences. Every time we sit down at this table, something is the same, something is different. Things are always changing, but some things can remain constant, like our tables, our chapels, the words we use to open our times together, and lighting a candle too is a constant for us. I think Stephen was feeling Thanksgiving, even if it wasn't really Thanksgiving Day there with his mum. What do you think about that story? Do you have a table that you sit around? Would you feel like Stephen? Do you have those talks with your mummy or daddy? How does that feel altogether? Amazing. So with that in mind, I have a small but fun and relaxing activity for you. So if you've got a cranberry, a dried cranberry or a dried raisin, gather it up and have one each together. So for this activity, you just need your dried raisin or cranberry. I've got mine in a little bowl. Actually, it's slid down now, but it's in the little bowl there. Okay, now I don't know about you, but when I think about Thanksgiving or Christmas, I think about cranberries. I'm sure you will have heard of cranberry sauce. You might see the cranberries in the supermarket all laid out, beautiful colour, red. And they are very much in harvest at this time of year. In the second week of October, in America, sometimes celebrate, American Indians also have a big celebration of them, of harvesting the cranberries. And the reason they're called cranberries, I found out, is because they used to be called cranberry. And a crane is a type of bird with a long beak. I don't know if you've seen it. And apparently, and I've never seen the plants, but you can look them up, the stem and the way that the flowers are before the fruit comes looks like a crane bird. So that's why they're called cranberries. But someone dropped the E off and then they got called cranberries. So there you are. So to give thanks for this amazing harvest and to try and appreciate the celebration that they have, I thought it might be really nice if you get your cranberry, have a jolly good feel of it, a little look at it, look at the colour of it. Actually, in this light, it looks like a ruby to me, like a beautiful gem. It's lovely. I can squish it, I can pull it a little bit. Well, it's quite tough though. I can give it a little sniff. It smells sweet. And then what I'd like you to do, after you've done that for a little minute, just have a proper think. Because sometimes we scoff it down, don't we? Like a load of raisins. Or if you just take a single thing and have a really good look at it. Actually, I can see the light through it as well. I'm sure if you've got a raisin, it's quite similar. You can see a lot of colours in a raisin as well. Okay. And then when you've had a look at it, you might just want to put it on your tongue. Maybe not even bite it straight away. I'm just sucking it in a minute. Actually, went really flat in my mouth straight away. All the sugar. It's really sweet actually. Now I'm going to crunch it a bit. It's got a lot smoother. It's a little bit bitter as well, but mostly really sweet. That's definitely different from a raisin, but similar. And actually, the flavour does remind me of this time of year more than I can imagine having it with onions and different gravies and stuffings, and whether with meat or without meat, turkey meat. You can have it with vegetarian or vegan meals as well. It's beautiful. It's full of vitamins. It's got 3 types of vitamins, including vitamin C, which keeps you healthy and strong. So a great reason to eat it too. Wow, that was quite a mindful celebration. Imagine having hectares and hectares of cranberries to harvest, and imagine seeing them all on the landscape bright red. Even seeing them in the supermarket, they look so vibrant and uplifting this time of year. I think whatever you eat at your family table and create your memory table like Stephen, that you enjoy something all together like that mindfully. It's beautiful. So I'll finish with the closing words. As we leave this friendly place, this yummy cranberry place, love give light to every face. May the kindness that we learn light our hearts until we return. Have a wonderful week. See you next week. Bye.
Bright lights, bright lights.